What if everything you've ever been told about success was wrong? The question echoed in Michael's mind like a gong, loud and insistent. He stared at his reflection in the cracked mirror of his tiny apartment. His shirt was neatly pressed, his tie straight, his face serious, but inside, everything felt hollow. He was the epitome of success by conventional standards. An executive at a major corporation, a house in the suburbs, a fancy car in the driveway. Yet, he felt unfulfilled, disconnected, and lost. Michael's life had been defined by the pursuit of external accomplishments. Success was synonymous with climbing the corporate ladder, accumulating wealth, and adhering to societal expectations. Every day, he raced against the clock, sacrificing his health, relationships, and passions for the sake of professional achievement. But despite having all the trappings of success, something was missing. There was an emptiness in his chest that no amount of money or prestige could fill. It was a quiet loneliness that gnawed at him in the silence of his office late at night. One rainy afternoon, on the brink of burnout, Michael found himself wandering into a small, unassuming bookstore in a part of town he'd never visited. The heavy aroma of old paper and leather greeted him as he entered, seeking some distraction from his spiraling thoughts. His eyes scanned the shelves, each one filled with self-help books promising success, happiness, and wealth. But then something caught his eye. An old, faded book titled The Power of Your Mind. It wasn't a bestseller or a flashy new release. The cover was yellowed and torn, a relic from another time. But something about it called to him. As Michael flipped through the pages of the book, he was struck by its radical message. Unlike the typical success-driven narratives he was used to, the author, an obscure philosopher, spoke about a different kind of success. A success rooted not in external achievements but in the power of the mind. Change your thoughts and you change your life, it said. It wasn't just about thinking positively. It was about reprogramming the way you viewed the world and your place in it. The book suggested that success wasn't about working harder or longer, but about shifting your mindset, understanding your purpose, and aligning your actions with your deepest values. Michael's mind raced. Could it be true? Could all his years of relentless effort, all the hours spent working to earn his place in the world, have been in vain? The idea that success wasn't just about doing but about thinking felt like a revelation. As he sat in the bookstore, the weight of his current life choices settled on him. He felt a wave of frustration. He had followed the rules, yet the happiness he sought always eluded him. But this new idea, it sparked something deep inside him, something he couldn't ignore. That evening, as Michael sat in his apartment, holding the book in his hands, he made a decision. He would stop chasing success the way everyone told him to. He would stop seeking validation from the outside world. He didn't know what it would look like yet, but he would begin to change his thinking. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. This was his turning point. The next morning, he threw out his old success goals. His job title, his possessions, the image of the future he'd been sold. He would find his path, but there was one question that loomed. What would he do next? Michael woke up the next morning, the weight of his decision hanging in the air. He didn't have a clear plan, but for the first time in years, he felt excited instead of anxious. The first lesson in the book echoed in his mind: the power of your thoughts. It made sense that if you didn't change the way you viewed the world, you would remain stuck in a loop of frustration and missed opportunities. But how could he apply it to his life? He had always believed that success came from working harder, pushing through pain, and sacrificing everything. Was that wrong? For the next few days, Michael immersed himself in the teachings of the book. The author emphasized that our minds were like gardens. If we plant weeds, that's what will grow. If we plant seeds of success, growth, and positivity, we will harvest those fruits. But the process wasn't easy. It required deep introspection and honesty. Michael had to confront his fears, insecurities, and doubts. He had to accept that his old mindset had limited him and kept him chained to an unfulfilling life. However, shifting his mindset wasn't an overnight process. Despite his intellectual understanding of the new teachings, Michael faced setbacks almost immediately. The first was the judgment from his best friend, Tom. Tom had always been the practical one, the one who believed in hard work and doing what needs to be done. He scoffed at Michael's newfound philosophy. You think sitting around and thinking differently is going to change anything? You need to work hard, not just sit there and daydream. Michael felt a deep conflict. He loved Tom and respected his perspective, but he knew he couldn't follow that old path any longer. He tried to explain that success didn't only come from doing but from being. But Tom wasn't convinced. The tension between their differing worldviews made Michael question his new mindset. At the same time, Michael faced a professional setback. After his shift in thinking, he decided to ask for a promotion at work, something he had never dared to do before. But his boss turned him down coldly, citing budget cuts and restructuring. Michael's first instinct was to spiral into self-doubt. Had all of his new thinking been for nothing? But then, recalling the lessons from the book, he paused. This rejection wasn't the end. It was simply another step on his journey. Rather than internalize the rejection as a personal failure, Michael saw it for what it was, an opportunity to rethink his career. Maybe this job wasn't in alignment with his new mindset. Maybe it was time to explore a different path entirely. Michael, on the verge of giving up on his new mindset, received an unexpected call. It wasn't from his company. It was an offer to start his own business, a proposal he had never considered before. The idea of it terrified him, but it also excited him. This was his moment to step fully into the life he had been envisioning. The question was, could he leave behind the comfort of a steady paycheck and the security of a familiar job to embrace this unknown opportunity? Michael's decision to start his own business was both terrifying and liberating. The fear of failure was overwhelming, yet there was something deeply empowering about stepping into the unknown. He poured everything he had into his business, working day and night, reading books, seeking mentors, and slowly building his foundation. But things didn't go smoothly. There were moments of doubt, failures, and constant pressure. The hardest part wasn't the work. It was the mindset. Could he truly sustain this new belief system that had become his guiding principle? Months went by, and just as Michael started to feel the weight of his efforts paying off, he faced a crushing blow. His first major client canceled their contract. His business was on the verge of collapse. Michael, deeply frustrated, felt like the weight of the world was falling on him. He had worked so hard, and yet it seemed as though everything was slipping away. The old Michael, the one who believed that failure was a sign of weakness, fought to take control. He wanted to give up, but then the most important thing happened. He sat in his office, looking out at the city skyline, and realized something profound. This was exactly the moment he had been waiting for. Failure wasn't an enemy, it was a teacher. It was a chance to evolve, to become better, to refine his approach. Instead of fighting against the setback, he embraced it. Michael decided that success wasn't about avoiding failure but learning from it. The mind shift was complete. From this point forward, he wouldn't fear failure. He would welcome it as part of his growth. And so he began again. More determined, more focused, and more aligned with his true purpose. His next move was to focus on providing value, not just chasing sales. He reached out to potential clients, offering them free consultations and sharing insights without expecting immediate payment. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. One of the clients who had initially turned him down called back. They had seen his new approach and were impressed. The business started picking up. And then something even more unexpected happened. Tom, his old friend, reached out. Tom had been watching Michael's transformation from a distance. He saw the change, the success that had begun to unfold. And now, Tom wanted to invest in Michael's business. He believed in him. But just as Michael began to feel that he was on the right path, he received another unexpected call. An offer to return to his old job. The salary was higher than before, the perks were better, and the security was undeniable. Michael stood at a crossroads. Should he take the safe route and go back to the known? Or should he continue on this uncertain but exhilarating journey? Michael spent several sleepless nights pondering the offer to return to his old job. The salary was tempting, and the stability was reassuring. But then he remembered why he started this journey in the first place. He remembered the pain of living a life defined by external validation. He had chosen to change his thinking because he wanted more than just security, he wanted fulfillment. And that fulfillment wasn't found in a paycheck or a title. It was found in living authentically, doing work that aligned with his true purpose. Michael turned down the job offer. Instead of looking for security, he looked inward for strength. He decided to keep building his business, not for the external rewards but for the internal satisfaction of knowing that he was on the right path. His business continued to grow, and as it did, Michael found himself in a unique position, not only as a successful entrepreneur, but as a mentor to others who were looking to transform their own lives. He began speaking at seminars, sharing his journey, and teaching others the art of success. It wasn't just about business, it was about life. The true essence of success, Michael now knew, was in the mindset. Success didn't come from what you did, it came from who you became in the process. As Michael stood on stage at a seminar, looking out at the crowd of eager faces, he realized that his journey had come full circle. He had started as a man seeking external validation, lost and uncertain. Now, he was a man who had embraced his inner strength and, in doing so, had transformed not just his life but the lives of those around him. The power of his mind had truly changed everything. The story closed with Michael's most important takeaway. True success is not found in doing more, but in becoming more. When you change your thinking, you change your life.